They can't vote, but their education is today at the centre of the election. At this primary school in Stoke-on-Trent, they say they're facing a real terms cut in the budget of £140,000 over the next 4 years. They don't want to talk about staff cuts here, but they don't know where the savings will come from.
Going forward, we're not quite sure what we're going to do in terms of the actual efficiency savings that we'll make.
Aren't there efficiencies that you can make still?
We've been making them from years. As a school business manager, I've been here looking at procurements of different services, photocopying costs and things. We've done all of that over the years, but now we're at a point where there are very little more efficiency that we can make.
Now, the Conservatives say they would protect the cash amount going into English schools, which is currently around £41 billion. But the country's top number crunchers, the Institute for Fiscal Studies, say because of rising costs, budgets are actually being reduced. And to reverse that, Labour say they would spend an extra £4.8 billion. The Liberal Democrats say they'd spend an extra £3.3 billion.
Theresa May today insisted her government was funding education properly.
School funding is at record levels, but we've also within that we're putting record levels of funding into early education. We've protected the school pupil premium at £2.5 billion, worth £2.5 billion. But what matters in education is actually it's not just about the funding; it's about the results that you see and the education you're providing for the children.
Labour say they can fund their plans by reversing cuts to corporation tax and putting it back to 26%.
We will secure the best education possible for every single child by getting the basics right. And that starts with proper funding of our schools. We will reverse the £3 billion of cuts that our schools currently face by 2020 and protect per pupil funding over the course of the next Parliament.
The Liberal Democrats also say by putting up the tax paid by business, they can find the necessary money.
The funding we're putting forward for that, to support our children, to make sure our children have a better future, comes from very, very clear sources. So the restoration of the corporation tax ban, so that rather than giving away money to corporations, you use that money to invest in our schools. That's the best thing for all of our children, and that's why we're committed to do that today.
Who is the most credible on education? The verdict the voters deliver in 4 weeks will help decide their future in and out of the classroom.